you know what, just to make sure afterwards, if this doesn't record right, after the amount of times I've done this, I'm going to go mental. But here we go. Right, so basically in this video I wanted to talk about the next step from where we were. So what I'm going to do is just quickly get set up. There's a few things I want to go over. So what are we doing here? Well, where did we leave off? We left off here in a little box here where we had the metasploitable machine that was showing its IP address of 192.168.0.9. So where are we going? We're going to identify the issue on the machine with that IP address. We're going to have a look at the port 21, discover that there's a vulnerability, and then basically use the exploit in two different ways. We're going to use manual and automatic, and then I'm going to go over a couple other things. But yeah, let's just dive straight into this. So first off, what is VSFTPD? Well, VSFTPD, or Very Secure FTP Daemon, is an FTP server for Unix-like systems including Linux. Its default FTP server in Ubuntu, CentOS, Fedora, NimbleX, Slackware and RHEL Linux distributions. I hope I've said that right. But continuing on, so where was the exploit found? Where was the backdoor found? It was found by this gentleman here, Mathis Creason, and then source code for the correction of that exploit was on that date, and the Metasploit module to autopwn it was basically on that date. Okay, how are we going to discover it? Well, we're going to use Nmap, and Nmap is a free tool by Mr. Gordon Foyder. What it does is basically it scans networks and gives you output based on the packets that it transfers between it and the machine. The next thing we're going to look at is the automatic exploit, and if you care to have a look at how this actually works a bit further down, there's plenty of code on the internet, but what it is basically Metasploit, and this module is part of the Metasploit framework that allows you to use that exploit and effectively take it off the shelf, rewrap it with your components that you want to use, and then replicate the attack. Okay, so we also have what we call a manual exploit. We can use a programming language or something of the such and download a program that will commence the attack for us using a script. So this is more like a manual sort of exploit, and using the Metasploit framework is considered more like automatic pwn. So just to let you know, if you look on Google Scholar, if you're going to try and use things like this on things that you shouldn't, and i.e. anything that you don't have explicit written permission to do so, there is honeypots on the internet looking for people doing that. So that is why we have those sort of things, because these exploits are commonly known. 0 days are not known, so these are common attacks, but you know, if you're going to try and use them, there is places where they're watching, so don't use them for bad purposes. All you want to do is just use them in your own labs and have fun with them, and that way you avoid any trouble. Alright, continuing on, I just want to say something. A special thanks to two people, and that is Cool Text for helping me with the graphics, because obviously it's not easy making logos and things like that the first time you start, so they're a really great resource for anybody that wants to create stuff. And this gentleman right here, Ipsec, and I'm going to do this right now. Press the subscribe button on this guy's channel, because this guy is a guru. He knows a lot about what he's talking about. He's very, very good, and I've got a lot of respect for this guy. He taught me a lot of what I know, so I definitely go check him out because he's really, really excellent at what he does. Alright, so let's get on with it. We've got a land map of what we want to do here, and we can conclude that in a minute that we're going to get to the 2.3.4 vulnerability in the title. Let's see how we do that. Okay, just going to close this down for a second, and now we're going to have Kali. Okay, so on Kali I've got a couple of things in here, so what I'm going to do is just open up my terminal, and we're going to go back to where we were at the start of basically just confirming connectivity. So if we confirm the connectivity there, we can see that machine, and yeah, that's going, that's brilliant. So we can see it's a Linux machine, and we're back to where we were in the previous video. So now what we need to do is we need to do something called enumeration. If I can spell it right, probably not, but the point is that we need to enumerate the machine. So nmap, and then we're going to use sc -sv, and then 2.168.0.9. V2.3.4.9. So to explain this command, mmap we've talked about before, uses probes to find out what's up with the machine. SC is a script like directive that you put on to basically run commonly known scripts against things that might be vulnerable. SV is for safe, like for versions, to check the versions. And 192.168, that's the address for the machine that we're attacking. Alright, so I'm just going to leave this running for a second. Looks like I did have a little spelling mistake there. Also, a nice little tip for you here is you can press enter on the scans and it'll give you like a little heads up about how far it's done. Okay, so the machine's going to sleep for the minute. Wake up! So we can keep checking, see how we're getting on. Oops. There you go, 97. Okay, hope you guys are enjoying the music. It's all from No Copyright Sounds. Got some good tracks over there, just have to have a little sift through. And that's right, we can't skip this phase. No matter how long it takes, this is the most important bit, and you'll come back to this time and time again. It's the hardest step, unfortunately. Okay, brilliant. So now we can see that we have a lot of vulnerable services here, but we're not going to concentrate on any of those today. We're just going to go up to the first one we see, and we see that VSFTPD 2.3.4, the thing that we discussed earlier, the concept that we discussed earlier, that's what we're going to attack. We also have Anonymous, and that's a video for another time. If we get, say, 5 likes, we'll do a video about Anonymous. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, I'm just going to show you the 2 ways that we can attack this. So one would be considered automatic, and one would be considered manual. So let's go over to the automatic attack first and use MSF console. Okay, so what we're going to do now is search for VSFTPD 2.3.4 and look for it in the database to see if we've got anything that's like that. Well, yeah, we have one. So we can highlight that, copy it, and then use module. So now we're saying to it, okay, I want to use that module. You can use the show options command to see how to configure it. And like I said, we can change parameters without having to do too much heavy lifting. This is what I mean. All we have to do is use some very simple commands. Okay. So that's going to set the host, and we confirm that with that now. We can see that the target's locked in. Now we can run either exploit or run to run the exploit, but I'm going to use run this time because it's less letters. Okay, so now we can do print working directory. We can see we're in the root directory. We can do who am I, and we'll see that I'm root. And then also let's just do an if config just to show that it's not just my machine, and we can see the IP addresses match in there. Okay, so that's brilliant. So now, as good practice, I'm just going to shut this down because I've had mistakes in the previous videos, and believe me, there's been a few. But exiting cleanly from exploitation is good practice, and I think probably most people will agree on that. Okay, so we're just going to exit out of all that, and now we're going to go over to Python, and this may work the same way as last time. So I'm in the root directory. What's in here, guys? I've got the exploit. So what's the exploit.py? Well, I'm going to cap that out for you, just so you can see what's in the file. And all it is the code that we found on the internet earlier. Let me just pull that up for you. Okay, so remember, ipsec. And me, if you want to give me a little sub, I'd appreciate it too. But this guy, definitely check him out. Okay, so where am I at? Just here, that's it. You can pull it off this website here, okay? Alright. So what we're going to do is now we can use Python, which is an interpreter for Python 3, and we can say exploit.py, because I don't fully know how to use it yet, right? But unfortunately, you've got to give it a host, and it says -h will give you a help message. Okay, that shows me the help. So now what I need to do is just turn off my other screen because one of them's turned off. Bear with me, guys. Okay, that's better. So exploit.py, and then we need to give a host, right? So 192.168.0.9. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't work. That is to be expected, okay? It's not going to work every time. So let's try it again, and a shell open. So let's try those commands again. pwd, okay, great, awesome. So let's do who am I, and I'm root. And then one last thing. Let's check the IP address. And look, yeah, there you go. So we need to make sure that we exit cleanly and make sure that we end the exploit. Okay, exit. Right, so that's it, guys. In this one, we had a little look about the exploit and how it was used, and hopefully give you a bit of background. Obviously give you a disclaimer and some other sources. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to, leave us a sub, a like, and some messages in the comments for feedback. Thanks very much, guys. I'm just a little bit shocked that I actually managed to get that one out. That's like take 500. So, alright guys, that's a wrap. See you in the next one.